athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. And we're back for another exciting episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. We are live here around 2 weeks out from the Mr. Olympia competition. Chris is probably packing his bags already. You're heading over to the Vegas, early this year, as usual?
Thursday.
Wow. That's the earliest I think you've ever gone, huh?
Yeah, it's the earliest I've ever gone.
Wow. You got a pass from the wife on that one?
I'm getting 2 kids out of the house.
Oh, that's why they're coming with you. That's great. Okay. Yeah. Isn't it wonderful to be able to bring your kids to the Olympia? I mean, they're at an age.
You know what, David? I used to go when they were, and I always used to say, when they get older, I'll take them to Vegas. But then, they got older faster, and they're almost out of the house. So I said, I better bring them. So.
The funny thing is, you probably never thought they'd ever be involved and interested in bodybuilding, and then
one is not. One is not. So he's coming in. He's flying out with me Thursday. We leave here at 5 a.m. I'm doing Jay's show on Thursday night, the same day I arrive.
Okay.
Friday we're going to see Chris Angel, or Friday or Saturday.
Okay.
And I'll wear my Species shirt in the audience, so he thinks I'm you.
Well, you should tell me. I can maybe make a phone call for you for this.
I'm going. Yeah, Friday night.
You already bought tickets though?
Yeah, Saturday night. Yes.
Oh, you should have told me. I would have got you tickets.
Well, I just want to see his house, but.
Yeah, well, that's a different ticket, Chris.
Then Friday we're going to see the Michael Jackson tribute show, which.
I heard it's good. Yeah.
I saw Michael Jackson, so I will compare it to the real thing.
Okay. Well, so you're going to Vegas basically with your son to enjoy Vegas, and then you're sending him home, and then when the show starts, you bring in the one who.
Yeah, then I'm bringing the dieting one in.
Fareed is who likes the body.
Yeah, who's
The other one's going on vacation with you, basically.
Yeah, he's going on vacation, and the other one is coming.
Fareed actually likes bodybuilding, so yeah.
He can't wait. He cannot. No. Disney, right?
Of course. I mean, look, I remember I went to my first Olympia. I think it was 22 or 23. I was in heaven. If I would have been able to go at 18, I would have lost my mind. Especially the access that you have to everyone is it's like the VIP treatment. It's like the P. Diddy treatment,
he came when he got super hooked was 2022 when Kamal was in the show.
Right.
Rafael Brandeo was in the show. We're all on the same floor.
Right. Well, everyone's in that hotel you're in. All your guys are there, right? Platinum. I said, all your guys are in the Platinum Hotel. He's going to be right around everyone.
Yeah, well, Ramon is there and in that hotel because it's
Andrew
and me,
right.
And Chris Cycle Lewis.
Yeah, I'll be in the resorts Conrad. So I heard the rooms are really nice. I'm excited. And I'm really excited about, Chris. I want to announce this. We have this RX Muscle predictions contest.
Yeah.
Have you been following this?
Well,
I got to give credit where credit's due. I don't want to take credit for it. It was Sid mastermind this whole thing. I was all in favor of it. I just didn't have anyone to do it.
Dave, back up. If I do not get credit for this, I'm quitting the show.
Yeah, but you and I put no details together. Sid actually put this thing into reality.
I wanted to be credited with the idea.
No, you and I have been saying this should be a contest like this for years, but there wasn't the technology that it easily do it. So
the reason I want it is so that the person who gets it, I want to be able to bring him on the show for pre-Olympia shows in the future. They said, you are
You're giving him a job, is what you're giving him, basically.
You know, expert beyond experts. You were
right.
exactly what you need to know.
So basically, what the contest is it's going to be top 15. See, last year we did top 10. Too many people got the top 10 right, which is amazing in and of itself. But so it's top 15, and we also have the top 5 for classic, and then the winners of all the other divisions. The reason we're doing all those other ones is in case there's like tiebreakers. Otherwise it's a lot easier if we have some of the other ones in there. So Carlo Filipponi, our good friend from thechickenpound.com, he is ponying up a lot of chicken, I got to tell you, for the winners. I'm putting up supplements and money for the winners of the contest. So I think the top 3 we're going to be giving money to. I think first prize is going to be $1,000 plus the species prize package plus 20 pounds of chicken or something like that. Wait, Sid's chiming in here. Oh, there's the link right there. Can you click on that link, Sid, in the chat? I don't know if you can. You might have to just copy and paste that thing, but that's the link.
Well, you can get Bob to come on Chickarillo to give out the first place. Bring the first place.
We got Sid who can announce it. We got a bigger boomer of a voice. Sid can announce it. We'll have Sid come on the show and announce the winner. Although we'll actually have the winner the right after the show is over. That's how quick Sid is going to have this thing done. So. But it's going to be a lot of great prizes. And I think that anyone who could pick the top 15 correctly deserves to be rewarded in some way, because that's incredible. I can't even get the top 5 right normally, because there's so many variables in picking who's going to win, because you don't know who's going to be in shape, who's going to be out of shape. And, it's a tough pick.
I got news for you. Sometimes, you're talking about the top 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th is usually very challenging as well, because
toward the end, right?
It's like, not a lot of people. There's just a lot of factors that go into that call.
Right. So we'll see what happens. If you guys want to enter the contest, it's free to enter. Click on the link, and you'll get an email. And in the email, you'll fill out all your. It's a very nice, easy form to fill out. You put all your information in there. You can choose to opt into our mailing address, mailing list, and there it is. He's pinned it to the top of the live stream. Okay, good. Thank you, Sid. And you can enter up until I think right before the show starts, or right at the day of the show. So you don't, but if you want to wait a little bit to decide, I want to see how these guys look, and they're a week out.
Yeah.
Sometimes going with your gut instinct is better than trying to look at these guys' Instagram pictures and decide, because a lot of these guys are Instagram masters and they can, play around with the pictures a little bit. So.
Yeah, I was just playing around with apartment photos, trying to make them look better than they actually are.
Speaking of progress pictures, did you see the Hunter Labrada pictures?
Yeah, I did. Yes,
looking pretty good. What do you think?
I thought he looked great.
It's kind of like a Dorian. It's a very Dorian-esque, when he did those black and whites that time. I mean, it's obviously not as big as Dorian, but it's pretty freaky. He's definitely put a lot of size on over this past year.
Yeah, no, he's bigger. He's denser. He's in good shape. He's in very good shape, actually. I mean, 12 days.
I can't believe we're 12 days out. It's nuts.
He's in blinding light, which is a negative, so he probably looks even better than this.
Yeah, and he's white too, which is also a negative.
Yeah.
Having white skin is a negative in bodybuilding.
Well, maybe we should have a contest for the top 3 worst and top 3 best tans.
Oh, this is hold on, I just want to put this up.
This is a challenge to tan that body.
You could actually edit your picks, Sid. So I didn't even know that. You see, so if someone withdraws and you want to change your top 5 or your picks, you can do that too. So that's another good feature that he's got worked into this contest. Thank you, Sid, for putting this together. I think it's going to be something that people are going to do every year, and it's going to get more and more popular, and we're going to get more and more sponsors on board. And I would like to give away $10,000 at some point, Chris, to the winner of this contest in the future. We're starting with 1,000, and we're going to give second and third place prizes and money too. And as this becomes more popular, I think that we'll we'll have different categories. Maybe we'll do different categories like the open, 212. You know, we'll see. We'll see how popular this thing gets. So that's what we're up to here.
You could compare them to like the winners to see if other experts who weigh in the top 15 they get it wrong.
I think you'll get people online who are like these, trolls that'll probably get it all right, and then us experts, we don't know anything. We'll get like 4 out of 15 right, But I wanted to show you something. If you zoom in, it's this eye. I didn't get punched in the eye. For those of you are asking, how I got that little mark there, Chris?
At snake.
No, I was playing Yeti Spaghetti. Have you played the Yeti Spaghetti game with your kids at all?
I don't even know what the Yeti Spaghetti game is.
All right, so the Yeti Spaghetti game it's like you get this big plate, this red bowl. It's like an Italian bowl. It looks Italian at least, and you get these pieces of spaghetti. They're kind of like they're long pieces. They're hard plastic, and they kind of got little ripples in them. And you put them up across the plate, and then you put this Yeti. You know what a Yeti is? It's like an abominable snowman.
Yes.
You put the Yeti on top of the spaghetti. And then what you do is you go around the room or go around the board, or who's ever in the thing, and you pull one piece of spaghetti out. And then the person who pulls out the piece that makes the Yeti fall into the bowl, you lose. That's the loser. So I was playing Yeti Spaghetti with my kids, and they got a little too aggressive with the spaghetti. And I almost lost an eye, Chris. So they hit me with the spaghetti thing, which hurt. And I yelled, ow, and people probably thought, my kids probably thought I was overreacting. And then later I got a black eye from it. So I got a good shot from the Yeti Spaghetti noodle. Just want to let you know, in case anyone's wondering. I'm sure no one cares, but just in case. All right, let's pull up some more. Samson Dauda. I think you were in agreement with me. Didn't you think that it was a good idea they did the show? Or were you a person who didn't think it was a good idea?
I mean, it turns out it was a good idea because he looked great.
Well, I said it was a good idea from the beginning. I thought it was a really good. Did you like the idea or not like the idea of him competing 2 weeks before?
It's a good idea. I mean, why not?
Right.
One, it's an easy win.
Yeah.
Two, you might want to try something out or, just get an idea. Sometimes the answer is yes, because sometimes when you are in shape, which he's in, and you get under the lights, you get a better idea of do I need to come down more? Can I come in like this, or can I come in a little fuller? It's sometimes there's a difference in stage lights that just give you that, that true idea of what I really look like. Right.
Well, given that Samson came in here and pretty much, easily won as we suspected, do you think did you like his look here? And what would you like to see better or different for the Olympia in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think he looked great here. I think that he looked big, full, hard, shapely, and I thought his condition's really good.
Better than the Olympia last year?
It's a better condition because I think there's there's more I hate that word. There's more refinement. To me, his legs look more separated. I think his hamstrings and glutes looked really good. I think maybe his upper back might have been holding a little bit of water, and that's the only, knock. But, he'd be making a big mistake if he was coming into the show 2 weeks out and saying, I'm going to try to come at my absolute best, carb to smithereens, and then, put himself behind for where he wants to be at the absolute, where he need to take a risk in trying to be perfect here with the biggest show of the year in 2 weeks would be a mistake. So having said that, there's still room to improve a little bit in 2 weeks. And,
do you agree with our little tip we just got from Built to Laugh? Andrew's Texas package would beat this Samson. Do you agree with that?
Yes, but Andrew was trying to peak for a show that he had to win. Okay.
Well, he's still 2 weeks out though, Samson. So.
Yeah, and Samson's 2 weeks out, so he's not trying to peak for that show.
Yeah. All right, I want to pull up a picture that I want your opinion on, because I want to ask you if you think that Samson's glutes are too small. Is he not dry enough? Is he not lean enough? What's going on with the glutes? Why? My speculation was that he doesn't have enough muscle back there. But could those glutes be tighter? Would you try to bring them in more for the Olympia?
I would not. I would not.
So you think that's a good look for him? Is what you're saying?
I think that if we are not talking about Samson's back, his shoulders, his biceps, triceps, quads, pecs, the side chest, the side tricep, frontal, front lat, back double, if we're just honing in on glutes, that's, a rabbit hole if you chase down. It's going to end in a bad look for Samson. In other words, the show is not the glutes. You should be able to, with that amount of muscle and his separation and his condition even there, that leaves a big impression, to higher Olympia down to like glutes is like ridiculous.
All right. So if you're not going to chase glutes here, then you're saying that this is a good enough look for the Olympia.
In 2 weeks, absolutely.
Okay. So if you think if he brings this look to the stage that he brought here to the Olympia,
I think he can be a little sharper.
So if you were coaching, what would you do to bring him in sharper? Is it a water thing? Is it a body fat thing? What would you do?
It's probably just water, a little bit of water. A lot of people, 2 pounds on people can make like enormous amount of difference under the lights. Just 2 pounds. You can 2 pounds by like 1,000 different ways. You can sit in a sauna for like 45 minutes and lose 4 pounds.
Right. But would that be a better look for him, or would it flatten him out too much?
I don't think he has to really be too concerned with being flat. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. I want to pull up some posing footage here. So this is him in the lineup.
I mean, the bottom line is he's not going to have ever Hardy's glutes, and he's not going to have Derek's glutes. I don't care if he comes down 25 pounds.
Right. So but he doesn't need those, is what you're saying. Yeah. So here's a better view because there's no filters on this. This is what doesn't look like there is. How does that Samson do in the Olympia lineup?
He probably needs, based on that, what I see there, he needs to be tighter. But I'm sure he will be. I mean, so
you'd like to see a little less body fat on him. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's water.
You think it's water? Okay. Yeah. So you think he's in shape?
Yeah, I think he's in shape. And I think that, I think he's in shape, period. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people's water looks like fat.
Right.
Some people's water, not a lot of people, because God, some people's water is not water; it really is fat. But I think that I mean, look at. I'll give you the example, Dave. If you look at Hadi Chupin I'll tell you which Olympia it was, 2019, prejudging, he was a shoo-in for 4th or 5th. Mm-hmm. And 19, let's see, no, sorry, Dave. 18 was Roden, 19, 20. I know he flew in like at the last minute, and it was 2020, and he was like in the running for 4th or 5th in prejudging, and then the next day he was diced and sliced. And that was a preview of what was, actually, he'd already been diced and sliced in 18 and 19 as well. But the point being is that one day he went from like, oh, he's hard, he's in good shape, to like absolutely lights out. And people were talking like at the night show, wow, Hadi Chupin. And that was just one day. So you can't tell me that he lost body fat in 24 hours. Right.
All right. I buy that. Let me ask you this question. Stephane Matala withdraws from the Classic Physique Olympia. Hold on.
Yeah.
He says he wants to put some more size on and compete in the Open next year. Good move, bad move? Would you have? I mean,
no, he should have sucked it down and did it.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't he just do the show? I mean, and then. Well,
you know what? you can measure where you are, because the fact is that if he had a really good placing, you know, there's a lot of things that you can do to stay in that class. Because the unknown for him is now he's got two unknowns. How would I really have done in the Classic, and how will I do in the Open? So you got like double unknown, as opposed to if he did the Classic and he did really well, the answer is stay in Classic. It's a growing division.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he withdrew. You know, we might not ever have the real answer, but you know.
I mean, it could have been anything, but it could have been that he just impossible to make the weight. But if you've made it before, there's always ways you can make it again.
Yeah, he said it was very difficult to make the weight.
To just not eating, you know what I mean? Just like crazy hard, 3 meals a day.
I just think if you're this close, you might as well just finish it out. You know,
you got the hotel reservation. The problem is when you pull out too. There's always a legitimate reason to pull out, when you have an injury or you have a health. And in either one of those cases, injury or health issue, if you're the promoter, you say like, stay home, no problem. We completely understand, get better and we'll see you next year. But when you pull out and say, I'm going to do another class. Okay. If I was the promoter, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. Give me the refund for the tickets and give me the refund for the hotel.
Right.
And the other thing is part of that is those are primary concerns I would have. But the guy that you just beat, is going to be sitting at home saying, God, I lost to him and I could be at the Olympia.
Right. No, you're right. Before I go on with our little wrap up coverage, Chris, I went to give some blood. Okay, and I went to give some blood at the blood bank. It's called One Blood here in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, and if I'm on HRT, so I like every couple months I like to give some blood, lower my red blood cell count, whatever, because keep my blood pressure in check and all that stuff. So I go in there and they do all the testing and everything's good and they're about to draw my blood. And me, I can't keep my mouth shut because I know my body really well. And I said, listen, the vein you're prepping is not a good vein. It's I know it looks big, but it's not good. You're gonna have trouble getting in there. Okay. I said, use the one right next to it. She's like, no, I know what I'm doing. I said, okay, great. The famous last words, Chris. It's like anytime someone says to me, I know what I'm doing, they never know what they're doing. Okay. So she goes into the vein and she stabs me with the needle so hard, Chris. And first of all, I want to let people know, I'm going there to donate blood, but also they had a big hurricane here in Florida, and there's a lot of people that got hurt and injured, and they're desperate for blood. They've been emailing like crazy, everyone. So I'm trying to do a good deed too here. She stabs me with the 16 gauge needle so hard that I knew she went right through the vessel. I said, ow. I said, I'm not afraid of needles. I said, but you went way too far. You guaranteed you threw the vessel. She's like, you don't know what you're talking about. So of course, no blood's coming out. So now she's moving the thing around, like trying to get in the vessel. So she repeatedly stabbing me now over and over and over. And finally, like a little blood trickles out and goes into the bag, like 10 drops, maybe. 10 minutes later, she's still fucking around with the thing, and she can't get the needle in. I said, listen, you should have just listened to me. I'm not trying to be, you're kind of torturing me at this point. Can you just take it out and put it into the other vessel? She's like, we can't do that. Once we pull it out, that's it. It's over. I said, what do you mean it's over? What do you mean it's over? If you go for an IV in the hospital and they miss the vein, they do another one. She said, we're not allowed to. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. So she pulls the thing out. She's like, put the thing, put the pressure on that thing. I said, get another bag. And so let's start again. She's like, you can't. Once the blood hits the bag, we can't do it again. I said, what do you mean you can't? What, I got to come back tomorrow? She's like, no, you can't. 58 days from today. I said, 58 days from today. I said, listen, the reason they have a rule every 58 days you can donate blood is because they're taking a pint of blood out of you. They want to give your body time to replenish the pint. You took 2 drops out of me. I said, There's no depletion here going on. Why do I have to wait 58 days? That's our policy. So look, I went to the woman at the front desk because this woman was obviously didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. I said, listen, I come here all the time to donate blood. I said, I told her not to go in the vest. She didn't listen. Why can't we just throw that blood bag in the garbage and start again? She's like, well, it's policy. We can't do it. I said, but why am I being penalized for the fact that you couldn't get the blood out of me, and now I have to wait 58 more days? You kind of ruined my ability to donate blood now for 58 days because you couldn't get it into the vessel. I have the most there's no one who has better veins than I do. If you can't get veins out of me, if you can't get blood out of my veins, you should go back to school. I said, because it's like an impossibility to even, figure it out. My veins are like the greatest veins of all time. So she's like, I said, listen, I have a very big social media following. I'm not like arrogant. I don't want to threaten. I said, but I don't want to have to go on there and give you guys a bad review. She's like, well, she probably thinks I'm full of crap. So I go out to the car and I do this review, Chris. All right. Now, most people know exactly up to this point the whole story. 2 hours later, on a Saturday night, Chris, I get a message on it because I tagged One Blood, the donation place. I get a message from One Blood donation bank saying, we saw your video. We're very sorry that there's been a miscommunication. We really want to contact you and talk to you. Is this your email? And what's your phone number? And I gave them all my information. So I haven't received. I'm assuming they're going to probably call me on Monday because today was Sunday, obviously. But seriously, 2 hours later they did. And that just goes to show you that when you have social media clout in today's, you could people have to listen to you because they don't want bad publicity. I mean, their incompetence, basically, I was being penalized for their incompetence. And why should I be? Why should I have to suffer because you have an incompetent person who can't draw blood out of a guy who's got the biggest veins in the history of the world?
So what's free out of it?
Well, they're gonna probably call me tomorrow, and I'm gonna hope they're gonna say, "Look, come in, don't worry about it. We'll do it. We'll take the blood." So sometimes, a lot of these bodybuilders have very big followings on Instagram and social media. Use sometimes you have to use your clout when you're right. Don't do it when you're wrong just to be an idiot. But when you're right, there's nothing wrong with voicing your opinion and putting it out there. And I laid out a very logical, argument. I explained, I went in there very nice. I was just trying to help out and they weren't able to do the job and I was being penalized. And I didn't think that was fair. And I guess they agreed with me. So
they're going to refer to you as that species.
Yeah. Listen, this guy even said, Dave has veins like the Nile River. He's right. So that was my weekend of
you did a rant, Dave, to make it through the week. That's what.
Yeah. I think they would just did it so I got material out of it. All right. Well, before we talk about more bodybuilding, let's just take a look at Francielle Matos. She's our wellness Olympia champ to try to defend her title. She's looking good. We got to give all the divisions a little clout. Have you ever seen this exercise, Chris?
No.
It looks dangerous to me. It looks very dangerous to the lower back. But who am I to say anything? She's got better legs than probably most of the men bodybuilders. So this is the one exercise I think is ridiculous, Chris. The hip thruster machine.
Yeah, it's so funny, Dave, because I'm I see it around, barely in gyms. I've probably been in the last 30 years, I've probably been in the gym 30 times, never to train. But I always get confused when I see that machine because it doesn't look like it does much. No.
I think it
and I don't know. I'm just asking.
This guy says if Samson had those glutes, he'd be Mr. Olympia. Maybe Samson should start doing that hip thrusting machine. Maybe it does work. Who knows? No, you know what? What people don't realize, if you want to build big glutes, you got to squat. That's going to build the size. This girl has crazy legs. She can do anything she wants right now. Those legs are not going away. So she's doing stuff to bring in detail and stuff like that. Little tweaks and stuff like that. But to get the main mass, you got to squat. There's no way around that. There's no shortcuts. We all know that.
Yeah.
All right. What else do I want to do here? All right. Oh, we got to give props to. Oh, hold on. Should I bring this? Let me. Hold on.
Props to who, Dave? You're going to forget, and then you're going to say, I should have
No. Yeah, let's talk about Brett Wilkin. Brett Wilkin did a great job. He qualified for next year's Olympia. He looked great. You know, I saw Brett a few months ago in St. Louis at Jack Titoni's St. Louis Pro. He was the guest poser there. I was walking down the aisle toward the stage, and he had jumped into the crowd and was coming right towards me. I took a picture of him right as he was walking towards me, and he looked enormous. And I realized he put a lot of size on from last year and made a lot of quality improvements. I think this was a good idea for him to get the early qualification for next year. He can spend the whole year now putting some size on. I don't know if he plans on competing until the Olympia next year or not, but what do you think of Brett?
I think this was his best by 2 miles.
Yeah.
Just
looked really good.
A lot of polish. End of story. A lot of, and there's not a lot of gaps in that physique. And it's a really attractive midsection on like hands on hips, side abs and thighs. This pose right here, most muscular. He's got a very, very flat midsection. And it goes a long way on all the shots. He's got a lot of flow in the side chest. He's got great condition. You know, his tan is perfect here. He's just looks really, really polished.
And, you know, the funny thing is he beat Bruno Santos, who's actually going to the Olympia because he snagged that last Olympia spot qualification for this year. You know, obviously this show counts for next year. So that's a nice feather in Brett's cap that a guy going to the Olympia now is, you know, he beat him already. So that's one guy he doesn't have to worry about. I think I think he really needs to. I think he can hold more size on this frame. As crazy as it sounds, he put so much size on over the last couple of years. I think he can hold another 7 or 8 pounds and still have that aesthetics. You know?
By virtue of what I said about the midsection, you know, if his midsection was getting out of control, I would think that, okay, like a lot of people, here comes the mass and there goes the physique.
Right. Yeah.
It's just the opposite. I mean, he's added mass and the midsection has gone nowhere. I mean, it's not increased at all. It's a feature rather than a detriment.
Now, do you think that happens to be a genetic thing, or do you think it's something he's doing right? Or, you know, how like some guys just.
I think primarily it's a genetic thing.
I think so too. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you never want to be the guy who gets bigger, but your waist gets bigger because it's all a negation.
Right. No, you're right. All right. Let's look at another guest posing from this past weekend. Final shot. This was at the Asian Grand Prix of Hun Bang. I was very impressed with him. I know you were impressed with him too. He's got some good bells and whistles. How's he going to do in the Classic Olympia?
Without a shadow of a doubt, you just got to see him in the lineup. There's 60 guys in the show, and 58 of them are very good. 58 of them. He might give up a little too much size to some of these guys. I don't know. Like you said, you don't know. Some of the classic guys, you know, you see him on stage, you say, wow, he's bigger than I thought.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you see pictures of people and you think they're really big, you say, gosh, you know, someone will ask me, what happened to so-and-so? I said, he didn't look that big on stage. It's not a show about bigness, but just the discrepancy between your perception of what you expect to see in terms of size on stage versus what really shows up. And a lot of that is height and structure, you know, because most of the top guys are, several of them are very tall and, you know, very wide.
All right, keep talking. I'm just pulling up some more stuff.
So, you know, the classic, I mean, the point being is a lot of people look great by themselves. And I don't think, you know, I don't know how the guy's going to do simply because we've never seen him next to other people. You know, I mean, sometimes, for example, I mean, I've seen pictures of Urs in the past where I'm saying, God, he looks small, but he doesn't look small on stage.
Right.
Taper, and he's got the big cap delts and the right sweep to the thigh.
Well,
some don't even look big backstage.
here's the real question I want to ask you. Wesley Vissers, who's our Arnold Classic Physique champion, going up against Bumstead and obviously Ramon Dino. A lot of people saying that he could be the guy to beat Chris Bumstead this year. I saw a little interview with him that he did with someone where he said he's already at the weight 2 weeks out. He's at weight. He wants to try to bring even better conditioning than he brought at the Arnold. Is that a dangerous slope to go down? Maybe, sometimes getting a little too light, too quickly, too early. Or is that going to be a good move on his part because maybe it will enable him to fill up a little bit more? What do you think we're going to see from Wesley Vissers on the Olympia stage?
I mean, expect to see his best and expect to see some type of improvements, I would think, because he's improved the last 4 shows or so.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to, I think, that day, like how Ramon looks, and how Wesley looks, and how Michael DeBull looks, who just won the Legions and looked tremendous. How looks. It's just like the other, just like the Open. It's a little bit hard to handicap. I think what the number one thing that Wesley has on him is he's got height and he's got arms on a wide frame that's important. Chris Bumstead has a wide frame and not very big arms, actually.
Do you see this quote by Rafa Brandao that Sid put up there? Ramon is the only one who has a chance of beating C-Bum. Wesley beat Ramon at the Arnold because he was at 60% with a 6-week prep. I believe the Olympia Wesley will not stand a chance against Ramon. Do you agree with that statement or no?
I think that Ramon will be at his best, and I think for Ramon to win, he has to be at his best. And I think that, I have a lot of confidence that Ramon will win.
You think this is the first year that Bumstead might be vulnerable to more than one person?
His vulnerability. He's either going to be. It comes down to the baby. I'm serious. You know those things like you see, Dave, for stress levels. You see like divorce is like number 1, or like death, or baby is right up there.
Right.
So it changes a lot of things. So with a baby, first child, you either do this. This is overwhelming, or you pretend it's not overwhelming. You just say, okay, this is just another addition, blah, blah, blah. So it can affect, as a bodybuilder, it could affect your focus, or could affect it in the positive way where you say like, wow, this is a miracle. And I'm like, now I'm training for me, my wife, and my family. So it could have a positive charge on him. I haven't seen any pictures of him running into the show, and I don't know what he looks like, but he is the defending champion. He's won it multiple times, but all reigns come to an end.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. We'll have to see. It's going to be a good battle, that's for sure. I wanted to bring up another little topic. Sid interviewed Martin Fitzwater, and Martin said that his expectations, let me see what it is. This is his first time on the Olympia stage. He also discussed seeing how Phil Heath guest posing in person inspired him to pursue bodybuilding. So Phil Heath obviously was his inspiration, and Martin has made some of the most incredible improvements over the last couple of years that I've seen an athlete make in a very long time. So much so that I think you agreed with me, I actually thought he deserved to beat Nick Walker at the New York Pro. I thought he had him edged out a little bit, especially just on conditioning. So he's kind of a wild card. What do you think Martin's going to do on that Olympia stage, given what we saw from him in New York? Assuming he's as good in New York, I think he'll be better. Can he crack the top 6, or is he not there yet?
Gosh, I'd have to take a really, really. I'd have to see him on stage.
I mean, you saw him next to Nick Walker at the New York Pro. We were both there in the front row.
You know what? The reason you look at him next to Nick, he's not as big as Nick, is he reminds me of Brett.
Yeah.
He has polish and not many gaps in his physique. Like, that's a good pose. He looks really good there. He looks really good there. So you're waiting for the pose where you...
He's got a better back than Brett Wilkin, too.
Yes. So you're looking for the pose where you may be vulnerable. And he doesn't really have any poses where you say, like, that's weak.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that. Did you know Martin moved to Florida to train with Brett? I didn't know that.
What's that?
Martin moved to Florida, and he's training full-time now with Brett.
Oh, isn't that funny? Look, I just compared.
Yeah, I know. That's very funny.
So it's, I mean, it's when you can come into a show and you don't have weak poses, it goes, it's really important. I mean, it sounds like simple, but it's, you know, it allows you to leapfrog people with, you know, on paper who you can't beat. Because a lot of people have gaps in their physique where there's like one pose where you're like, oh, I look great there, except that shot. Right.
Look, you know, I think that Martin is going to be a wild card. You said it really best. It's hard to really predict how he's going to do, and because he doesn't look alone, he doesn't look like, he's not huge, but when he stands next to people, he really makes them look bad. And because his conditioning is so good, he's got the bells and whistles, he's got those lats that really pop. He's got, he doesn't have like any dinks in his physique. You know how like a lot of guys as they get older, they get like lumps and bumps. He's got that very, young looking skin. I think he's going to do better than a lot of people think. I mean, how do you think I'm going to give you a hypothetical matchup. Hunter Labrada versus Martin Fitzwater. Who wins?
Hunter's got too much size for him right now.
Okay. It'd be interesting to say that.
But that's right now Hunter's big.
Would Hunter have won the New York Pro?
It's a great question. Wow.
Martin was a point off, right? Nick.
Yeah.
So I mean, the reason I ask these questions is because I want to see what I'm inching towards how you think Nick is going to do on the Olympia stage. But I'm slowly creating matchups prior to me asking you how he's going to do.
Yeah. He's going to be in the mix. He's on. When's he not been in the mix? And I don't even, he's got freak factor, which is important, because the irony is he's got more freak factor in my mind than, like, ironically, Hardy or Derek, but he's not as, like, flowing, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, or I don't want to use the word complete. He's not put together as good as Hardy and Derek. That's not to say he's not put together well.
You're talking about Nick.
But they're just a little bit more put together, but he's definitely freakier than them to me in certain shots.
Right.
How about you?
Well, so if let's just say, if you think that Hottie and Derek are above Nick, okay, can Samson beat Nick?
He has beaten Nick.
Will he beat Nick? Do you think the look we just saw from him today or this weekend?
I think anything can go at this Olympia, Dave. I can say yes, he can beat Nick, and Nick can beat.
Will Andrew beat Nick?
Yeah, I think Andrew will beat.
Okay, so let's assume there's a tie between Samson and in your book, at least, between Samson and Nick. So you got three guys who've already beat Nick. So where you got Nick down to tied for fourth place with Samson. Right? What I want to ask you is, a lot of people think Nick's not going to be top five. I'm not one of them, but do you think there's a possibility that Nick doesn't make the top five at the Olympia?
I don't care what people look like, because it's all on paper. Because there's some shots that Nick is just probably going to be like freaky in, And, I just got done talking about Martin Fitzwater about having balance and Brett Wilkins having balance. I mean, Martin is more balanced than Nick. But Nick can come in potentially with shots that would just like a freaky that you just, even if you have some type of quote balance weakness with your physique, it doesn't matter, because when you have freaky shots, I mean, you could argue that Dorian had balance issues.
He was pretty balanced. Thank you, John Olivia, for that $5 tip. Nick is going to fall out of the top 4 this year, according to John. What about the top 5? That's the question I have, because that would be a big blow to him. And I think, a lot of what the problem is, Chris, I think that we're having trouble with is we don't know how everyone's going to look. So, there's always guys that are off. And when guys are off, guys like Branch Warren and Nick Walker move way, 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 way up because of the freak factor, the conditioning factor. So I think it's hard. That's why I find it very hard to choose who's going to win and who's going to lose, because we just don't know who's not going to be on. Who's going to get sick, who's going to have to take too many diuretics, who's going to get the flu, who's going. It's every show. There's always some drama between one of the top athletes, right? I don't think there's ever been. I mean, Brandon Curry last year was in the hospital, right? And he still plays fourth at the show. Yep. So a lot of people thought he wasn't going to wind up even doing the show.
Yeah. How's he doing for the show, by the way? Talk about
Brandon. He's quiet, which is good. That could mean he's dangerous.
Huh?
When Brandon's quiet, he might be the most dangerous guy in the lineup, because no one's even picking him top 5. Or a few people might be, but he's perfectly capable. I mean, he was 4th last year. He's perfectly capable of winning the show. I just don't think enough guys will be off for him to slip into that first position.
He's not capable of winning the show.
You don't think so? Where do you have Brandon Curry in this lineup?
Not capable of winning the show.
You have him top 5?
Yeah, he could be top 5.
Well, who would have to be? Who could he beat in the guys we just named?
Depends on what Brandon's brought. Brandon is a cornucopia of looks. He's been peeled one year, but the second year, let's see, when he won, he was full. He probably could have been tighter, but he was very full. 18, 19 rather. 20, he was impressive. He was very full. He could have been tighter. He was even full. 20 was a very good look.
Yeah.
21, he was diced and he was diced. So to backtrack my probably not being able to win, there's a balance there between the 20 look where he was second, and a lot of people had him, not the majority, but a lot of people had him winning in 20 against Ray. And then 21, he had a lot of balance, and he was in tremendous, tremendous condition. That was his best condition by far of all time, by far. So and I think the judges probably thought he might have went too far in terms of condition. You know what I mean? Like he lost roundness. So somewhere between the Goldilocks look for him is between 20 and 21.
Right, but he's he's not getting any younger either. So.
Just to confirm, we have not seen that 20 fullness in the last couple of years, and we've not seen the 21 condition in the last couple of years. So that's why I say he can't win. But if he could bring that type of fullness not with the 21 condition, but somewhere right in the middle, very dangerous.
Well, I don't think we ever thought we would see everyone be off. And last year, everyone was a little off in that top group. Samson was off. Hottie was a little off. Derek was good, but he didn't have abs, so
Nolan says
Nick wasn't in the lineup. So now Brandon sneaks in there, you know what I mean? And I think that's a scenario that we could potentially see again, where guys might be a little off and Brandon moves up the lineup because his structure is so good that when these judges don't know who to pick, you see a guy like Brandon with this beautiful silhouette. You're like, let's move him in there, So you never know, what's going to happen. It's very hard. I just don't see Hottie ever being off at this point. I think he figured out what he needs to do. He knows the look. The Arnold Classic was the look. If he brings that look, it's going to be very hard to beat him. Derek's going to have to really bring, more mass and just as good at conditioning to knock Hadi off. So I think those guys are going to be really tough to knock out of that top group. I think, and I think you'd probably agree, Andrew is probably the wild card here. And then, of course, Samson, if he can, dial it in a little bit more, those guys have the size, the height that can knock off the shorter guys. But I don't know if I see Nick Walker breaking into that top 4 unless some of those guys are off. Same thing with Brandon. I don't know if Brandon can break that top group unless some of those guys are off. And that's just the way I see it. I mean, do you agree? Do you see a Nick Walker top 4 if everyone else is on?
I think it's possible. I'm a contrary.
Well, under what scenario? If Hadi, Derek, Samson, and Andrew are on close to the best shape of their life, how does Nick beat them?
Well, what if what if Nick's at his best shape of his life?
Let's assume he is. Does he beat those guys at their best?
Well, I think he can beat people on the front double bicep. I think he can beat people on the side chest. I think.
Can he beat Andrew Jacked on the front double bicep?
I don't think anyone can.
No, I don't think anyone can either. Can he beat Samson? Samson's pretty damn good in front double bicep too.
Yeah, he can. I think.
Okay.
I think because I think Andrew's front double is better than Samson's, and I think Nick's arms are just, it's a front double bicep. It's, biceps, everybody. I know there's flow factors in and other things and taper and lat width, but when your arms are as big as Nick Walker's and it's a front double bicep, it's the first shot of the lineup.
No, he's good. His front double is very deadly. I agree 100%. It's a hard lineup to handicap.
It will be ridiculously easy to handicap it after prejudging.
Yeah. I'm talking about before prejudging, Chris.
That's where that hindsight is 2020 comes from.
It's a lot easier once they're on stage. But look, I'm excited. I really am excited to go to the show, to see this show. This is one of the, last year was exciting. It was kind of like a little bit of a disappointment because everyone was a little bit off, and that it always leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth when that happens. But this year, I don't see it happening again where everyone's off. I think that we're going to see that some of the best, and it's in Vegas. It's the 60th anniversary. If you can't make it to the show, they're going to have the watch party at the resorts there. Obviously, the live stream will be going on. We'll have King Kamali doing our play-by-play on the live stream. It's going to be a great weekend. And guess what, guys? It's in less than 2 weeks. Can you freaking believe it? I can't believe it happened. It came up on us so fast like that.
Do we have anyone praying for good lighting and prejudging?
I believe that they're going to have tremendous lighting. I looked online at the theater. That resorts theater there is really, really nice. The viewing is great from every seat. I think it's meant for production quality. I think we're going to see I think we're going to get good lighting on stage, and I hope that it's a very intimate theater. So I think there's 5,000 seats in there, but it looks like all the seats are pretty good. Now, obviously, we'll be down in the press area, but I think that everyone's going to be able to watch the show. And if you can't make it into the auditorium because you can't get a ticket, believe me, the watch party at the club and at the resorts there is going to be phenomenal. I have been getting a lot of people contacting me who have tickets that can't make it. So there are people who have tickets that will sell their tickets. And so if you really want to go and you're going to be there, I'm sure you'll be able to buy some tickets from someone there or someone scalping tickets and get into the show. If you really have to be in there. If not, I almost think it's more fun to go to if I didn't have to cover the show for arguments, I would almost want to go to the watch party and drink, have a couple drinks while you're watching it on the big screen there. It's going to be fun. I know Dan Solomon and the crew there have put together an incredible presentation for this year's 60th anniversary. I also want to say I just talked to Fairfax Hackley today, who's the vice president of the Bob Goldman International Sports Hall of Fame. And, they moved that from the Arnold Classic to the Olympia now. I don't know if you want to go, you're probably going to be with your guys. But on Saturday between 12 noon and 2 p.m., I'll be bringing Sid and the crew to the International Sports Hall of Fame right there in the Resorts Hotel as well. They'll be inducting Phil Heath, Brian Shaw, Misha Tate, the MMA fighter, Bruce Buffer, who I told Sid he's got to interview, right?
Yeah.
And a bunch of other, what's his name? Jim Plunkett, the quarterback, is going to be inducted, who's a Heisman Trophy winner. And Fairfax has got a great event planned over there. He's, they always roll out the red carpet for us at RX Muscle, and Fairfax and I are friends for quite a while. I want to get, what?
What are they inducting Valentino? Dave want to get that commercial.
They wanted to induct Valentino, but he won't get on an airplane and fly out there. That's the problem.
It's 1 to 3, 3 to 5.
Right. You remember Woody Allen used to be. I'm not paying Big Lenny's way. Sorry. You remember when Woody Allen would win Oscars back in the 70s? He'd never show up at the Academy Awards to pick up his award.
Yeah.
That's going to be Valentino. They're going to induct him, but he's not going to go because he doesn't want to get on an airplane. So
he can drive. Phil
Heath is going to be getting inducted. So it's going to be exciting. There'll be some good interviews. I know there'll be a lot of celebrities in the house because the MMA community is in Vegas. So a lot of them will go to the award ceremony there to watch Misha Tate get inducted into the Hall of Bob Goldman's Hall of Fame there. And I always have a good time at that event. I asked Fairfax Hackley if they're going to have food. He said, no, we stopped doing food. I guess during the COVID years, they stopped doing food. I said, well, what's Arnold going to eat? Arnold used to go there for the Swedish meatballs. Remember I told you I tried to interview him once and he had a meatball in his mouth?
You always should serve food at events.
That's what I said. But no, they put on a really nice event there. And I'm sure it'll be red carpet all the way around. So I'll be there between 12 and 2. And then obviously the good thing is that the men's prejudging, which at the Arnold used to be during Saturday, right after that event, will be the night before. So we will have seen that already, and then Saturday night will be the final. So it's going to be. I know what's going to happen when I get to that Olympia. It's going to go fast. Thursday is the press conference. At night is the Meet the Olympians. Then Friday the festivities start, obviously with some expo prejudging, and then Friday night is the men's prejudging and the women's finals. Saturday night will be the men's finals, and probably a couple. I forget which events of the women are going to be there as well for the finals. And we'll be doing all our wrap-ups. I already got people committed to doing the wrap-ups. Cormier wants to do the wrap-up with us, and anyone else who's out there who wants to join in will contact us, I'm sure. Now, you're going to be busy. How many guys you helping total? 7. That's a lot. It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, a lot of responsibility.
So now what are they going to? They're going to be going to your hotel? Is that how? Or are you going to be?
They'll have to come. I'm not leaving. Once I get there, besides... Okay. I'm leaving for 3 times.
See, what you should do is you should rent a car and then have your son drive around and do Uber all day and earn his keep there. And then you know what? When you need rides to people's hotels, he'll just come and pick you up and drive you around.
I don't. You know what happens, Dave? I rent cars in Texas. I rent a car. I took an Uber every time.
Yeah, of course. No, you should bring the Mercedes. Why don't you bring the Mercedes? Drive out to Vegas and bring the Mercedes, and then you could do Uber in the Mercedes.
I'll drive out the Mercedes that's in the garage here. I'm wishing.
I bet you all the people watching this show who are going to the Olympia would love to get driven around in your 1985 Mercedes.
I'd love to pull it up to the platinum. I think that says,
it's gonna be a lot of fun. There's a lot of I believe on Wednesday, Dom Matasio, Dom Super Slice is supposed to pick me up. He's got some kind of a clinic over there that they do all kinds of testing, and they ultrasound your body, and they do diagnostic testing, cancer testing, all these things. I believe we're trying to coordinate it. I'm supposed to go to the clinic there and get all these tests done and just videos over there. So the problem is when I go to these shows, Chris, I overcommit to doing everything, and I wind up doing nothing basically.
Yeah, I don't commit anything.
All I want to do is go out and eat a couple times, because whenever we were at the Orleans Hotel, remember, I would be eating Fuddruckers every meal because there was never any time to do anything. It was like unbelievable. I must have eaten Fuddruckers or Sparrow's Pizza there every freaking meal. Remember we were in that disgusting food court all the time?
Oh, yeah.
At least we're going to be in a very fancy, nice hotel. It'll probably be $25 for a Diet Coke in that resort hotel. But
Orleans is just the size, the auditorium. The bad thing is that the Orleans Hotel.
Yeah. The auditorium was not terrible. It was actually a nice auditorium, the Orleans
Mile
I didn't,
from anything.
I didn't mind it really. What is he pulling up here? Free dining. What? Free dining? Oh, fine dining. Oh, there we go. Those are the restaurants. Zazu. Fuhu. Where's Blackman going to go? Hey, what's your best steakhouse? Chris, I'll take you for a steak. What's your best steak? Bone-in filet? Chris, you want a glass of wine? I know what you like. You like Malbec, Chris, because you like a little sweetness, a little sweet. He'll pull like a P. Diddy on you and try to put a roofie in your wine. Then we can go to the freak out party afterwards, Chris. Sid, where do you want to go? Which restaurant do you want to eat at for the victory party? Chris, you should fill out the predictions contest. If you win the $1,000, you got to take us out to dinner.
You know what? I'm not good at predictions.
Well, you should just do it anyway. No one will know. What if you win? I bet you have your son fill it out. Maybe he'll win. I'd rather give your son the prize money in the species products and the chicken pound stuff. I bet you he already entered. He probably didn't even tell you.
Yeah. Wonderful. That would be. He's very. So.
Well, he's on cloud nine because he's qualified for the Ben Weider Cup. You know, he's got a victory under his belt, and he's feeling no pain. I'm looking forward to seeing all you guys out there and the RX Muscle crew out there, Chris, everyone who's going to be going. Dan Solomon, I want to thank you for taking care of us with the press passes and tickets and all that good stuff. And Fairfax, thank you for taking care of the Hall of Fame and everything like that. Everyone's been very, very helpful. It's so nice to be able to go to these events and not have to like be begging, to get in and begging for press passes. And everyone treats us so nicely. It's really a pleasure, to be honest with you. So I am looking forward to heading out there a week from Wednesday. But for now, Chris, we're out of time. Congratulations to Samson Dauda on the big win and the prize money. Congrats to Brett Wilkin on the big win and qualifying for the Olympia for next year. But we got to go and wrap it up, as we say every week here with Heavy Muscle Radio.
The truth hurts.
We'll see you again next week, 1 week out from the Olympia.